How's it all? Welcome to an official video for Shepherd's Lenzmatics. I've been largely involved with our Resistance Lifestyle YouTube channel. Sorry, I'm a bit sick today. But I thought it would be great to share some experiences and knowledge. We are a very tight-knit community in the SA YouTubers group, largely the car content creators, and we've been speaking about, helping each other and having some tutorials and stuff done, but largely the fact of non-car related stuff. There is some guys that aspire to be photographers and doing other type of work besides car photography and videography. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to just go through a bit of things. I want to do more videos like this on the channel. What you guys see on the other videos on the channel is mainly my wedding videos that I started posting on the YouTube channel, but I got a bit sidetracked and focused a lot more on the Resistance Lifestyle channel. So I'm just going to start off by doing a quick walkthrough of how I go about my photo shoots. So obviously when a client makes contact with you, they obviously want to talk about location, payments, pricing, structure of the shoot, etc. Whether it now be photography or videography. Just as a disclaimer on my side, I am not a professional photographer. I'm a self-taught photographer. I've been around the block a couple of years, and I think it's just nice to share some experiences and how I do things. With this photo shoot, I didn't unfortunately have my GoPro charged. I wanted to do like a POV photo shoot vibe. Unfortunately I didn't charge the battery, so I couldn't do that. I did, like you guys saw in the intro, just took a few clips of the ladies that I did a photo shoot on. They contacted me a while ago. We set a date. Unfortunately we had to cancel the previous one because of rain. However, we moved it up and we found the perfect location. This is the first time I'm shooting at this location. I've always seen it in photos and never knew where it was till I eventually found it. So in this photo shoot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick basic walkthrough of what I do and just a quick color grade. My main camera that I'm using for photos is my A7 III with a Samyang 35mm f1.4 Mark II lens. This is my go-to lens that I use all the time. The FX30 that I'm currently shooting the video on is mainly used for my video camera, but when I am doing photography only, I use this as my BTS camera or secondary camera for photography. It's a crop sensor camera. The A7 III is a full frame camera. Both has its benefits. The other thing that I use on the FX30 is, or the lens that I use on the FX30 is an 85mm Voltrox f1.8 lens. I'll take you guys, I'm just going to show you one example here in the video where you can clearly see this is more suitable for portraits. I only use this lens for portraits. Fabian, from time to time when he helps me with photo shoots on the cars, prefers this lens when he does the photos on cars. He likes the sharpness and the background blur it gives. So how I start off with a photo shoot is, your clients is not always going to be open to taking photos. A lot of them is camera shy, and you have to break the ice a bit. What happens then is, what I do is, for a startup, I do a quick 15-minute session. Everybody knows me for my dad jokes. I tell my dad jokes just to loosen the clients up a bit because they're nervous. A lot of them are nervous to be in front of the camera. And be it as it may, dad jokes is dry. It just breaks the ice a bit. Then what I do is I do a couple of photos for the first 10 to 15 minutes just to loosen them up, and then we continue with a photo shoot. Photo shoots like this generally takes anything between an hour to 2 hours, depending on how many people you need to shoot. Time of the day is very important when you shoot. This one we did shoot at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which isn't the most convenient time to do photo shoots because of the lighting, and we all want that golden hour photography going. What helped us a lot in this is because we shot it in a shaded area amongst trees or inside the forest. And that helped us play around with the light a bit. You will see in some of the photos that there is a bit of sun peeking through, giving us enough light to work with in the shaded areas. Generally, what I do is I try not to plan ahead too much regarding poses, because some clients is not comfortable with certain poses, or they feel a bit stiff when they do certain poses. So what I usually do is I let things flow naturally. Just snap a couple of pics, and if I see a moment I say, okay, just keep it there, and that's that. My way might not necessarily be the right way, but it is my preferred method what I use for my photo shoots. Every photographer has their own way of shooting, color grading, etc. What I often like is when it comes to my color grading process, that is where I spend a lot of my time in to make my photos stand out a bit more. A lot of people choose less saturated photos, some people choose a bit more oversaturation. I just like to find it in between. Sometimes the photos may look a bit more contrasty, but a lot of people also prefer less contrasty photos. I've got a very specific way of how I color grade, and it might not always be to someone's liking, but it's what I prefer and what my clients prefer. Otherwise they would not have contacted me. So as I'm speaking here, I'm going to throw in a couple of shots of the photo shoot in between before we start with the color grading. Composition is important. The rule of the thirds is important. Like I've mentioned previously, disclaimer, I'm not a professional photographer, it's just my experience over the years. Always take into account your composition and the rule of the thirds. That is how you start learning. For me, in the beginning, it was difficult because I started out with a 50mm f1.8. Over the years, that's the only lens I used. It basically forced me to learn composition the hard way. You only have that lens, you can't zoom in or out, so you have to basically force yourself into learning certain type of compositions. It's a good way to learn, but it's also a long and hard way to learn. I don't generally own any zoom lenses. I've got the 35mm f1.4 on the A7 III. I've got the 85mm f1.8 Voltrox. I've got the 30mm f1.4 that I'm shooting with now, which is a Sigma contemporary lens. And then I have another Samyang 18mm f2.8 lens. I love my prime lenses. A lot of people might not like too much blur in the background, or say, but you're overusing your aperture at its f1.4, overusing it and all that type of things, which is fine. People prefer to shoot a certain specific way, and you have to respect that. Everybody is different, and how you apply that methodologies and stuff is how your composition, etc., is going to get out at the end of the day. With my usual packages, I tend to give the clients about 40 odd photos edited and send them the non-signatured versions. The signatured versions I usually upload on Facebook. So on the day I would generally run through about anything between 200 and 250 photos. Then I handpick the best ones that I like, or that I think the client would like, and I provide them those photos. But remember how they say less is always more, but you can't give the client 200 photos of the same exact angles and compositions. When I give them 40 photos, it's usually different angles, different location spots, and different zooming structures. So when I shoot with a 35mm, I tend to go close up to the client to get half body shots, full body shots, 3/4 and headshots, those type of things that I'm referring to. So yeah, let's jump on to the color grading. I'm just going to do a quick color grading just to show you guys what I go through. I'm going to do one with the FX30 and I'm going to do one with the A7 III. Right, so let's hop on to the editing portion of it. So as you guys can see here, this is some of the finished pictures. So a photo that I'm going to work with is maybe this one here. So let's start with the FX30. So first up I'm going to start with this shot. As you can see, I've used the FX30 on here, 30mm f1.4 ISO 80 and 1/8 of a second. This is to get the blurriness when people walk past. I'm not going to color grade on this one, so I'm going to use something for maybe the 85mm that we can achieve a certain result. So there's the original one. So in terms of color grading, usually I always start off with my calibration. It's embedded in my head already, so I just usually know where to go. I set it up and I move my primaries around a bit. Later I'll come back here to tune it a bit, but that is that for now. Then I usually turn my detail up a bit just to make sure I've got the right detail and denoise done, because with RAW you have to do your denoise. We can also do a lens correction. It will automatically pick that up. You can see Voltros 85mm. So the first thing that I start off with is just to get some of the things right, like the white balance. I love to have greens and yellows vibrant in my photos. But I'll explain that on a later stage in one of my videos. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bump up the exposure a bit, slight bit of contrast and the shadows and the blacks. There's not a lot of light that I have to recover here. Texture, because I want to make the skin a bit more softer. Clarity. That's the first part done. And then I'm going to start with my curves. So I usually run through all these here, create a S-curve. Doesn't look right now, but you'll see at the once we get to the end point how it's going to reflect. Then I'll start with the reds. Then the greens. It's just slight adjustments that makes a massive difference. So that's one part done. Now you guys can see we're almost there. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but we're almost at that point. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start with the color grade, sorry, the color mixer. I just do slight adjustments. I'm running through it very quickly because this is what I'm used to doing. It might not be exactly to the effect that is running on this one here, but I'm just trying to show you guys where you have to play around and get a feel for your images. This is the standard quick route I'm going, and not essentially the correct way, but just to show what is going on in my processing. Okay, once I'm done there, then we're going to play around a bit more. I like to add like a slight bit of the pixelating in, feather it out. Then when we get to the color grading part, we're going to make here, play around a bit till we get the desired effect. So this process takes an awful amount of time. And what I like to do is I like to add some sorry guys, I'm gonna do this a lot, I'm a bit sick. I'm gonna create the linear grade. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring some clarity in the edge in, and then another linear. Just bring the subject out a bit. Another linear grade. Sometimes you mustn't overdo this, because when you overdo it, you can see here it gives a clear line to show that it's been darkened. So just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to play around with the white balance again. This one is a much more vibrant, but even this looks very nice. There's a bit of too much green in the skin tone, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to color grading. You'll see there, this is the mid-tones. I'm going to bring that down again. What I'm going to do is I'm maybe going to pull it that way. It's always best to run around and find the sweet spot when it comes to these color wheels. You can also play around with this to bring more contrast, less contrast. See, this one is very high contrast, but I'm actually liking this. It's not too much overdone. And that's basically it, how to set up a photo a specific way. If you need to do touch-ups like on the skin tones, if the clients want, oh no, we want our pimples removed and all that stuff, I do that separately on Photoshop. So as you can see here, it's quite a different look, but you have to have some variance. So what I usually do is, once I'm done with the photo, I say copy settings. Even with the masks, I copy it over. Now we're going to look for one that is a 35mm on the A7 III. So this shot was done on the FX30 with the 85mm lens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the A7 III shots. There's a specific one that I really liked. Just want to get down to that. This one here. So this is the original one that I've edited. Now if I copy and paste here, you'll see it's nowhere looking the same. So I'm going to bring the contrast down a bit. And that's that. That's as simple as that. Remember, when you shoot in two different cameras, your white balance is not exactly going to be the same, so you're going to have to play around with the white balance. The lens correction on this one I think is not built in because Samyang is a third-party lens. That's not really supported, if I can say that. On Lightroom you have to basically manually select it. So you can add your distortion in here, whichever way you like, whatever effect you want to have in your photo. You can add more vignetting. For this one, I think that is fine. The original one, like I said, is a bit more contrasty and there's less highlights that was recovered. This is also a very nice photo, but in using this one here, maybe we must actually just use this one. I'm just going to bring the exposure down a bit. We can actually remove this. And then we just do the white balance correctly. So like I say, this is just a starting point. Essentially what I do is I play around a lot until I find the sweet spot and then I apply that to all my images. But yeah, that is basically my process that I go through when I do color grading. I'm sorry that it was done very quickly, but it was just to show you as an example. Usually I spend a lot more time on it to get that perfect structure sorted, but yeah, that is just the basics that I work with. There is other various methods you can use, but this is my preferred methods. It might not work for everyone. But yeah, hopefully on the next photo shoot I'm going to take the GoPro with. We can do some POV shoots. I am going to try and focus a bit more on this channel. Also, there's a lot going on. If you haven't subscribed to the Resistance channel yet, please subscribe. If you are automotive enthusiast, and yeah, like I've said, I've just been very busy. I've been doing apparel orders, I've been doing video photography besides my normal day job, and it's just been hectic. So I'm going to try and focus more time on this channel also, just so I can find the balance between the two channels. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.